You know, I really try not to have drama in the space we have, but it does seem to find me. So, this is about Frazetta Girls. I've had my issues with this company for a bit, partly due to pricing, partly due to QC issues, and I'm not the only one. I'm going to let my friend Yojo Jerk, this is taken from his live stream about San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, that John Carter pisses me the fuck off.
You want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah, why not? Made by a company where your figures will just crumble to dust. And has the worst fucking articulation in the world. I hate having to kick Frazetta in the balls about making the worst garbage, expensive stuff ever. But all the stuff I've touched breaks. Okay? It breaks. And it's $100 fucking for articulation that is trash. Okay? Like, I would love to be a shill for them. They actually are in my zip code. Okay?
Yeah.
I would love to, but their stuff is fucking garbage. Okay? For them to get John Carter, sculpt this all nice and beautiful, and it's going to be a broken piece of garbage on the floor. And
JJ's echoing exactly what you're saying there.
Yep. I love John Carter, and I love Frazetta artwork, and I'm not saying the sculpting isn't there, but the overall construction and the way they're built, they're trash. Okay? Like, seriously, like legs just snap the fuck off. And it isn't because you're manhandling it. It's because it's made like garbage.
It's poorly
yes,
crafted.
I know other YouTubers who have broken these things and they don't say, you know, it's trash.
But yeah, Savage Crucible with the grandson.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. You know what I mean? These are by the Frazetta Girls. The other one is by the other brother, different company.
Is it a grandson or is it a brother?
I don't know if it's Frankie Jr. It would be like Frank the Third at this point. I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm just saying I wish these people would get better engineers to make the joints and go to a factory that doesn't make fucking squish toys, because those toys are the most fragile things like ever. If I could sell a broken one, I would.
With that in mind, I'm kind of feeling the same way as Jerk is. In fairness, I've never bought one, but I've had friends who have bought them, and they've had some bad experiences. To the point where I won't. I mean, I'm not going to spend $100 on a figure that's going to break so easily. And they say, oh, they fixed it. And I'm like, yeah. You know, look. Other companies have had this issue before too, but it was addressed. I didn't see much addressing going on. But anyway, in all of that, Toys News International, you know, JC. We all know JC. They made a post about the John Carter figure, and I was like, ugh. They make figs that break when you just look at them. Then I get a response. We had one issue with one figure, Tigra, and everyone got a replacement. Please don't make these false statements like that. Thanks. Now, initially I do admit, I didn't really, I just was looking at, oh, another deranged fan. Yeah, who runs to defend the company that sells them crap.
I gotta go here and call 911. I'll talk to you later.
I mean, that's really what I thought it was. I really didn't pay attention to the wording or anything. It was just like, yeah. And I said, heard the exact same statement with NECA when Toys R Us refused to take returns for them. Remember that back in the day? It was about 2014, 2015. They were breaking so bad that Toys R Us would not let you return them. And NECA would say, don't take them out of the box. They're not meant to be taken out of the box. So, you know, and it is the exact same thing they said.
The elephant heavy?
I mean, it was similar stuff that they said to that. Iran O'Donoghue. Now, you know, not going to dox the guy. But then I start realizing, you know, and then some other guy butts in and I say a few things to him. But anyway, I start realizing this guy might have a connection. So I look and, oh, he's a project manager for Frazetta Girls.
Very interesting.
Why is a project manager for Frazetta Girls worried about a Facebook comment from probably nobody?
Jinkies.
That's weird. But then I start looking. Artist and designer at Mondo. Now, this is me, just me. I've been very sus about Mondo. The reason being the prices. Especially when they had those 6-inch Ghostbusters figures for over $100. Some people say, oh no, it's the license. I mean, if the license is that bad, then don't take the license. That's ridiculous. I have said a million times that there are people out there, and there are companies out there that are going to take that nostalgia and try to rip you off with it.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?
And I really honestly believe Mondo might be one of those companies. I know Super 7 is. That's the most blatant one. But Mondo is a close second. But then I notice artists at Mattel.
It's just a job.
Now I have had run-ins with toy people a lot. And one of those toy people was Spectre Creative. Now I forget when Spectre was let go from Mattel, but that's an interesting connection in light of what's about to happen. But my major run-in with Spectre Creative was I said I didn't like the subscription figures for He-Man and DC. And he jumped all over me. And to the point, yeah, and you know, I had no idea who the guy was, and I said, who the hell you think you are, RoboCop? And, you know, then he tells me he's the brand manager at Mattel. And I'm like, why are you talking to me? You seeing what I'm seeing here? Anyway, he got so aggressive and mean. He actually got banned from a Joe board for coming at me. I mean, he got very, very mean. It was unreal. This was on the message board days. And first, he's on a G.I. Joe board. Second, why is he yelling at me? But ever since then, anytime somebody involved in a company jumps your ass, I am like suspicious. Automatically.
Hold on to your butts.
Because why would you do that? I mean, it's like you're trying to quell anyone saying anything negative about your product. Which I get, but coming at someone on a public forum is not the way to do it. And I know people are going to say, oh, Bobby Valla doesn't. No. If you actually look at the circle of events with Valla, most of the time it's pretty rough harassment before it gets publicly known between him and someone else. I mean, I can provide two very distinct examples. Probably three. Well, one of them's Shartimus Prime. There's a good one. I mean, how much harassment do you take at a con before you say, hey, you're just overstepping? But I could go on all day. But now we got pattern of behavior established. So now that we are on the same page, let us continue. So Iman says, yes, I'm butchering his name on purpose. Please get your facts straight. I say, so you're going to deny that NECAs were breaking and it was to the point that Toys R Us is not going to take returns? Okay. I mean, maybe go through some rigorous QC with such high-end pricing would help too. Is that not a good suggestion? I am not a toy manufacturer, but I do know that, you know, that's what you're supposed to do, is work on the QC. And I continue with, I think it's funny how so many companies get similar criticism and will just let their product speak for themselves without freaking out over a comment on a Facebook page. This is when I realized who he was. Now, I've watched firsthand several of these, not just Tigra, break without a great deal of force for people who spent a lot of money. You want statements like mine to go away? Get a good factory, work on QC, let the product speak for itself, and quit worrying about what online says. You'll never win, and honestly, you're making things look worse.
Everyone and everything, every idea, every concept, every opinion is a valid target for criticism.
And this is where I said, I'm doing a video on this shit, because this guy, dude, okay, I looked at your Facebook. You've been in this business a long time. And whether I'm right and whether I'm wrong, you don't act like this to your potential customers. You don't do this. Everyone is aware that you do not do this. Or here's a wacky idea. You could just, oh, by the way, let me make sure that I get out my cliche clicker. I'll work out how that does it in editing. Okay, here's a wacky idea. You could just be fair and aware of what you are saying. You say our figures break easily, when it was just one. Yet you don't bother to say we replace them all. Didn't know that was part of the conversation. I didn't know it was my responsibility to say you replaced them. My responsibility was to say, hey, this is what I've seen. We are even putting in a new run for this to take more of your money. You got a little advertising in there. We are a new and small company. Flynn, why did you do that? Everybody's been saying that since Flynn said it. Trying to get legs because a way larger company upset you. You just insist on being negative. Funny how that always comes up. And laying down your hate. Ooh. If I didn't interact with you, then you would say that I'm hiding or don't care. I didn't know who the fuck you were until you responded to me. And even then, I thought you were a deranged fan. You are correct, I can't win. That part we can agree on. I'm giving that a check too, because that's how, you know, the narcissistic toy makers will like to disengage. You know, act like, yeah, we can't agree. So I had to respond and say, I actually normally stick up for smaller companies. Honestly, I've had dealings and conversations with all kinds of toy makers. From Spectre Creative, to Vala, to Flynn. I had a small encounter with Flynn on a message board. And more than one pattern I've noticed. And one pattern I have noticed is that when you are as worried about what little old me is saying, it's probably more true than you want to admit. And that is a pattern I've seen. You're worried about one fan. You're worried about one guy who made a remark on a news site. That says volumes. Then I had to get a little smart ass remark. Also, the cliche counter has turned over. And you've overused the internet cliches to the point I cannot take you seriously. Because I couldn't. It was like every fucking cliche of the internet is in that statement. This is one thing. I haven't said much about Frazetta Girls because I didn't have first-hand knowledge. But you know what? This interaction has set off a bunch of red lights. The alarm bells are going because there's some similar energy to Spectre Creative here. And we all know how disingenuous he is. And I know some people like him, fine. But he has been caught in lies. So, yeah. there's a lot to unpack here. And I could say a lot more about this, but my major thing is this guy spending his day running around Facebook trying to shut down people who have any minor bit of criticism towards anything he works on? I mean, it reads that he has several jobs. Shouldn't he be doing them? I'm kind of blown away. It really floors me. Because I think about guys like Jason Bonneview, Bobby Valla, I'd even argue Flynn himself, are too busy to be patrolling everywhere on the internet. And yeah, I know this guy isn't the boss, but you know, he's still a worker and he still represents the company. And that's the other thing, is that I don't think he realizes he's representing Frazetta Girls by sitting there trying to talk for them. Yeah, you don't look good. You really don't. And you're not making your company look good either. I mean, fans arguing over stuff is one thing. You know, we do it all the time. But if you're going to sweep freaking social media looking for anyone saying anything negative so you can shut them down, you got too much time on your hands. And I gotta ask, what the hell are you doing then? Maybe that's why Frazetta Girls only comes out with a figure a year. Or at least it seems like that. And why they're so expensive. Because those things are pricey, and if I'm paying that much for an action figure, it better be perfect. Because you know what, I pay that much for a Mopex? They're damn near perfect every time. If I do run into a problem, it's minor. But you know, then again, now CT Toys shows us that you can make this shit for a lot less. So maybe our eyes are being opened. And maybe the greedy companies are starting to get their comeuppance. I like to think that, but you know what? I doubt it. I doubt it seriously. Because no matter what happens, there'll probably be suckers who don't care about the cost and don't think about how they're getting hosed. And maybe it's also me. Maybe I just have too big a sense of, you know, fairness. I like the feeling of being treated fairly. I like that. I like at least believing that, you know, when I give you money for a product, it's a fair price, you make money as you should, and I get a good product. Again, this is why I like Valaverses and Spiro. They both do that. This is why I'm starting to dislike Hasbro, because they don't do that. Well, let me rephrase that, because sometimes Hasbro gives you exactly what you would want at a fair price. Yes, that does happen. But, you know, let's face it, a lot of times it doesn't, and it causes a lot of upsetness. Rightfully so. And that's the thing, you will never in this world get rid of everyone who's going to say something bad about your product. Whether you make jeans, yes, that was on purpose. Whether you make toys, whether you make games, whether you make cars, whether you make any product, you're never going to be able to avoid criticism, because somebody won't like it. And it's not about being negative, and it's not about that, but my God, when I see things like this happen, my alarm bells go off, and it tells me these guys might be up to something. And maybe that price tag that seems a bit much really is. And they don't want you looking too closely into it. They just want you to laugh, bark like a seal, get your toy, consume product, get excited for next product.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
And those are the guys you got to watch out for. Oh yeah, sure. Everybody tries to create excitement. But this trying to quell any and all criticism, that says to me, you're probably not a good company. And to me, avoid. Just avoid. So that's what I'm going to do. I've reserved myself not to buy any Frazetta Girls at this point. Because that spoke volumes. You're speaking for your company and you just spoke. And without saying a word, yeah, you're probably never going to get a sale from me, even if you do improve your product. I want to make that perfectly clear. You still had a chance to let your product speak for itself and to win me over. You may have. I bought Mothexes before, so it can be done. But this here bullshit, you're saying a bit too much, sir. A bit too much. Without actually saying it. And just tells me you're more worried about what other people are saying than producing good product. That wraps it up, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope I didn't bore you too much. I found this to be interesting because I think it says a great deal about a company I've wondered about. There you go. Have a good one.